I've been thinking about this. I woke up in the middle of the night a couple of days ago and had this title for an idea that I've been considering for a while. So I'm going to give it to you because I feel like this might be your sort of thing. So hedonic adaptation is when your consistent desire for material wealth continues to move as you acquire new and nicer and better things, right? That's hedonic adaptation. I think that there's an equivalent called imposter adaptation. So the imposter syndrome, which is when you do not feel like you are worthy of any successes that you are having in life and that you don't feel like you're supposed to be here. I don't have the expertise that has put me into the position that I'm in, right? Over time, you can continue to disprove your own imposter syndrome. You are put into a situation, you defeat the situation, you come out victorious, you've done really, really well, and yet your imposter syndrome continues to exist. You continue to beat it in reality, and yet mentally it is always there. I'm still not supposed to be here. I'm still not supposed to be here. The way that I see it, if you continue to defeat your imposter syndrome in the real world and your imposter syndrome persists, after a while, you have to admit to yourself that this has got nothing to do with your competence and everything to do with the addiction to being an imposter. So this is the imposter adaptation that I came up with.
That is brilliant, and that is absolutely the case. I have not used that particular terminology, but I have observed the same thing over and over and over. An ice hockey player, oh, wow, now I am playing junior professional hockey in North America. I got to get used to this new level of play. I'm not really comfortable. I get kind of comfortable. And on the basis of my success at that level, now I get to play at the North American University level. Oh, once again, that doubt, that imposter rears his ugly head, and you have the same experience at this new level. You have to defeat it there. And then after your university experience, you're invited to a professional National Hockey League organization. Oh, do I belong here? And I've even seen it persist once a fella has made it through juniors, made it through university, made it onto a National Hockey League roster, become the starter on that roster. Once again, there's an adjustment. And then once he's a starter, oh, I'm going to play in the Montreal Forum, a legendary arena. Oh, I'm going to play against one of the future Hall of Famers in the league. Oh, now I'm going to play in the playoffs at the end of the season. Each of those steps in the career reinvigorate the tendency to feel like an imposter, like you don't belong. And so you've got to constantly keep working at it at each level, at each level, at each level. In some ways, it never really goes away. And this is what, again, I come back to this. Don't think, ladies and gentlemen, that confidence is this all-encompassing thing. Don't think that once you've got it, you'll have it forever. There is no atomic bomb you can drop on it to destroy that enemy. It's a constant, ongoing war of attrition, to use a military analogy. So, yeah, that imposter can continue to lurk inside you. And I love the way you put it. You got to realize that it's not your competence that's holding you back. It's your own sense of self. So let's work on that. Let's really work on being selective and careful with what we remember. Let's really work on being selective and careful and in how we think about ourselves and our skill level in the present. Let's be very selective and careful about the pictures we create for the possible futures that we want. And let's make the right choices at each of those levels.
Is there a degree of delusion that's appropriate for people in this case to try and, well, I don't know whether delusion's the right word. You're selectively choosing particular things that engender a certain frame of mind moving forward. I forget the failures, I focus on the successes. I forget the failures, I focus on the successes. In your mind, is there ever a concern of taking that too far? Is there such a thing as overconfidence?
I think there might be, but my experience, 30 plus years of doing this work, 29 years here at West Point is that there is a far greater tendency to be underconfident, to not believe in the actual level of skill and capability that you do indeed have. I can only count on the fingers of one hand the cases that I've encountered where somebody was just ridiculously inaccurate in the matchup between their actual skill level and their belief in their skill level, to the point where they were, as you would put it, overconfident. That only becomes a problem when your level of confidence, your belief in yourself, prevents you from doing the requisite training and practicing. You gotta be a workhorse for sure, but you want to match that with a racehorse, as I like to use the analogy. To a certain extent, getting back to your point about delusion, I think there is a certain degree of functional delusion that is very powerful. Again, we use our imagination to think about how we want to be. Well, we're not there yet, so isn't that by definition a little bit delusional? And I don't think it's any stretch to state that everyone's personal breakthroughs, the great accomplishments in human history, were all preceded by a certain degree of delusion. Roger Bannister said that in order to run a sub-4-minute mile, you have to be humble enough to do the work, and then you have to be arrogant enough to think that you can actually do it. I think Sir Roger was dead on. That degree of arrogance, I can do this. Well, that's a form of delusion. Even all of us when we were young kids, trying to ride a bicycle for the first time without the training wheels. Okay, we couldn't do it. We had never done it before. But we yet entertained a certain concept, a certain idea, a certain vision that we could indeed do it. And without that pre-existing vision, we never would have gotten back on the bike after having run off the road, fallen, scraped our knees the first couple times that we tried it. So, yes, there is a degree of functional delusion, which I think is very important for human performance.
I think you're right as well that most people undershoot their confidence as opposed to overshooting it. The vast majority of people that I know, they're in need of more, not less.
Indeed.
What's happening, people? If you enjoyed that, then press here for the full, unedited episode. And don't forget to subscribe. Peace.